to try, where students who are really struggling or we're just particularly worried about, we're going to bring those cases to the chair of the Student Affairs Committee and the Director of Diversity and Equity in the GSE to get support. And the diversity and equity piece is really important there, to help us check ourselves, in terms of our assumptions and expectations and those pieces. Okay, I'm going on. Developing knowledge of cultural... I know you're probably
running low on time.
What was that?
Said I know you're probably running low on time.
It's okay. I gave the other thing I was going to do, so as long as I get out of here, I have to take my son to swimming. Okay, developing knowledge of cultural diversity. Aligns with dominant perspective. I mean, what does it mean? It's developed through collaborative effort. I don't know that any of those first bullets quite fit. There's an intent to represent multiple perspectives. There was certainly collaboration in developing it. I think that, frankly, often our students of color experience it as more, more kind of white stream thinking than we realize, if that makes sense. Even despite our intentions. So we're still, always in flux trying to learn from that. So surface understanding of complex components of culture. Partial understanding. Sufficient understanding. Oh, man. God, these are hard to write.
It took me a very long time.
I bet. I mean, it's so hard to, pin down. I mean, so we're certainly talking about these issues, all of them. I don't know. I mean, the research on learning styles is a little... Anyway, they do hear about that. And there's, I would guess, at BSU, probably more attention to gender identity and sexual orientation than there is some other places, because we regularly have transgender students. We have a queer affinity group or queer student group that meets and is supported by faculty. And we have actually in response to some things that happened at Lewis and Clark with a student teacher several years ago, we have an explicit department statement of proactive support for, LGBTQIA students. And that's in every syllabus, or it should be. So, I mean, what counts as a sufficient understanding? Do I have a sufficient understanding? I'd say it's hit and miss in different ways. It depends where you're coming from. Allows for, I don't know. We're in process here. There's more to do. I'm not satisfied, if that's I don't know if that's helpful to know. But we're not ignoring these topics at all. Program design allows for a surface understanding of history, politics, communication, values, economics, beliefs, and practices that shape culture. 1 year. Program design allows for an awareness. Yes. Awareness and respect. Yes. Isolated opportunities to examine what can be learned. I don't know. Sufficient opportunities to reflect on how one's own beliefs and values. I feel, I don't know, at least in the courses I teach, I feel like they have sufficient opportunities to reflect, or, I don't know, sufficient, solid, a solid number of opportunities to do that. Program design provides sufficient opportunities to examine what can be learned. Yes. Promotes the ability to assess and articulate how one's own perspectives and culture influences decision-making and interactions. This thing about one's own racial identity and one's own perspective, I feel like the conversations that come up address white privilege, for example. Not that all of our students are white, but I mean, that's all, again, like a large majority of them are. But I feel like this is pointing out we could be doing more to foreground one's perspectives and culture, and kind of seeing that stance more clearly. Mm-hmm. Whoa, there's a lot of these. Okay. Alrighty. Program, we did culture, knowledge. What are we on? Personal awareness.
Mm-hmm. And if you, for sake of time, if you want to get like the gist of one section and talk about it, because I don't want to make you late to swim lessons. I know how important those are.
I think I just kind of spoke to the personal awareness and racial identity piece. I think we are... It's not that their personal identity is unexamined. I mean, there's certainly a lot of attention, like developing an identity of who you are as a teacher. And, you know, your background is certainly part of that. There's just room to grow here. Public science, continuous and intentional opportunities of self-respect. Reflect. Okay. I definitely think the courses offer them opportunities to analyze ways in which power structures, biases, privilege impact and are reproduced within the educational system. I can't guarantee that every student who goes through the program takes that up. They're all coming to teaching for different reasons and with different background knowledge, but that's out there for the taking if they engage with it. Classroom-based learning for equity, diversity, and inclusion.
So this one is thinking about the learning that happens within the ed program.
Meaning this, like what the TCs, the teacher candidates experience in the classroom. In the
classroom, not out in the field.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I just read the number 3 column, and all of that feels like a yes to me. I mean, it depends on the instructor, it depends on the class. I think they have a lot of these pieces that are in number 4. There's definitely outside community members that come in regularly. I think almost all of us work hard to model the kinds of teaching that we hope they'll engage in. We don't lecture about constructivism for the most part. So I feel pretty good about that. Field placement for equitable instruction.
So this is thinking about their practical student teaching. If it makes you feel any better, that's been a common response.
Oh, God. Okay, field placement. One, make sure everyone has a field placement, right? I mean, that's job 1. We do develop these memorandums of understanding with schools, and we work to cluster students in schools that, are strong in a variety of ways. We do look for diverse things. I didn't look, but I'm guessing that's in here. I would say in a sort of like fluid, not entirely haphazard, but certainly not systematic way, we discontinue working with mentor teachers, for a variety of reasons, but this equity